The off-season of BMX racing is finally here. What should you be doing in the off-season of BMX racing? What does the off-season of BMX racing even mean to you? Well, in this video, we're going to discuss the 3 things that you should be doing in the off-season and get you prepared in an effort for you to hit the ground running for the upcoming race season. Let's talk about it. Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of BMX Coach Live. I'm your host, Greg Romero, 3-time Olympic coach, coming from San Diego, live from San Diego, and I've enjoyed the past week off and looking forward to getting back on the normal schedule here. Getting a little feedback. Let me switch that up. Okay, cool. Now I don't hear myself. Hope you guys are doing well. Again, welcome back to the show. If you guys are just joining us, welcome to the show. I see a bunch of people in the chat room here live. And also, if you guys are watching this on the replay, make sure that you guys like the video, leave us a comment, but more importantly, subscribe and hit the bell notification in an effort for you to get notified when I go live or when I post videos. Hope you guys are doing well today or tonight or wherever you guys are. I see Aiden Pearson is in the house. Sultan is in the house. BMXer123 says, "What's up? I got a 3rd at the Grand Nationals." Man, congratulations. That is so awesome to get a podium. What an awesome accomplishment. Thank you so much for sharing that. 7 says, "Hey, Coach." Jake Jansen, Chris Childs, Jacob James, Tyler, Stephen Dager Jr., Craig Martin says, "Happy holidays, Coach," and all. JP's in the house. Roscoe H, DTOM, Club BC Cross. All right, we have quite a few people coming in. Awesome. Guys, welcome back. I enjoy your guys' company. And, can we talk about off-season BMX training? That's what I want to talk about today, because I always get the question on, hey, man, what should I be doing during the off-season? Well, one of the things that I'd like to answer before I even get there is, hey, what does the off-season of BMX training mean to you? Because when you say the off-season, okay, obviously you're not racing, but then again, do you really take time away from the bike? Okay, well, some of us do, some of us don't. I know when I was a young amateur, and more importantly, when I was in high school, we'll go back to the high school days. When I was in high school and I was racing very competitively, I was sponsored, hit the national circuit, but I was also in high school, and we didn't have a pandemic back then, but we had sports, we had other activities. I had another life away from BMX racing. And so that was a great opportunity for me to, experience different things, right? Experience other sports, more importantly. And back then I was doing things that would complement my BMX racing. I was weightlifting, I was playing football. I was doing things that would, complement BMX racing, such as being explosive. Maybe for some of you guys, if you guys are really young and living in Canada, like my boy JP here, maybe you could play ice hockey. That's a very complementary sport to BMX racing. So, what does the off season mean to you? And I would say at the end of the day, listen, the off season for the most of us that are serious, that are joining in the chat right now, if you guys are, finding this video, right, and you guys are looking to improve BMX racing, the off season doesn't necessarily mean, hey, I'm just going to take time off away from BMX and just chill out. I would say at the end of the day, the majority of our subscribers and majority of our audience here are serious enough to where BMX racing is life. It's a year-round sport for the majority of us, especially here in America, and it's a great opportunity for you guys to continuously improve and progress and work on your weaknesses. So we'll discuss and go through a couple different areas of the off season. And if you guys have any questions in the chat, make sure you guys ask me the questions as it pertains to off season. Let's discuss this. Now, if you're in Australia or New Zealand, you guys are enjoying the summer season coming around for you guys. And obviously for a lot of you guys down there, your race season is just beginning. So this video may be helpful when it becomes your winter season and when you're down and you're not racing. Also, I would say that this video and what we're going to discuss today would also help with, the pandemic that's going on in the world. Right now there's a lot of uncertainty. Here in San Diego, we're going through a small window where we're actually back on lockdown. And so what does that mean? Really, at the end of the day, certain things like crowds and they're limiting, the number of shoppers that can go into any store. They've also eliminated indoor dining, which I was enjoying there for a minute. And so everything's back to takeout. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that your BMX track is closed. I know I have a bunch of Winter Circle clients over in England, and a lot of their tracks are open all the time. And fortunately for them, they don't get a whole lot of snow. They do get rain. It does get cold. But the majority of those guys, they just harden up and they go out and ride the track. They're not racing, but they're able to get access and be able to work on their skills and be able to have some fun and stay on their bike year round. For the rest of us that are here, like in the Northeast, I have clients that are in the Northeast that I coach, and they're taking 3 or 4 months off away from the BMX track. They won't even be able to hit it because the track is frozen over. It just never thaws out. And so, what can they do? Well, we'll discuss what they can do, and I'll share a few of the things that I'm coaching my clients that cannot race, or cannot gain access to a track, but would rather continuously progress in an effort to hit the ground running for the upcoming race season. And we'll share that as well. A lot of guys still coming in, man. This is really awesome. Thank you guys so much for showing up. I really appreciate you guys. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be your coach. Dylan Magan says, "Hey, Coach G, happy holidays." Hey, man, happy holidays to you too, man. I would say that's probably my first happy holiday message, Dylan. So thank you very much, man. That's awesome. BMXer123 says San Diego BMX is getting a rebuild. Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking that out. I'm definitely going to dust off my cleats, and while I'm over the age of 12 here in America, we recently, or is it 13? Please correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure anybody under the age of 12, regardless of your proficiency, whether you're a beginner, novice, intermediate, expert, you have to race flats. I love clip pedals. I just love them. So I'm going to show it with my clips. I don't feel like slipping pedals. Thunder Midget says, "What up, Coach G?" Moreno Valley News. Yep, he's quarantined, so he's missing 2 weeks of practice. Yeah, so I would say at the end of the day, we're going to be discussing a lot of off-season things that you guys can also integrate during the pandemic when you don't have access to the track, when things are shut down. And so, yeah, let's do this. Also, guys, make sure you guys ask questions as it pertains to the off season, and I'll do my best to get to all of your questions. So, let's talk about the off season, right? So, I actually took these notes from the off season training plan that I have in my membership website over at bmxtraining.com. And actually, I took the description of an off-season training plan, a 30-day off-season training plan, and it says here, in the off-season, especially this plan, the goal is to take advantage of a long period where competition has subsided, allowing you to take the time to go deep into rebuilding the engine with proper strength and endurance training. The off-season is a perfect time to build strength, so when it's time to train specific power on the bike, you have increased your capacity to produce more power and also increase your match book, the size of your match book. And we'll discuss what that means here in a second. The bigger the match book means the more matches you get to burn. And when you have plenty of matches to burn, you can get through the training easier. And more importantly, you can get to the main event with matches left in the match book. So, the whole match book thing, okay, this is something that I've adopted from road cycling. If you guys don't know this, I was also a very competitive road cyclist for, I would say, the last 4 or 5 years. And today I still ride, I ride competitively, but I do not race. In fact, I pretty much retired from all racing, whether it's BMX, road, or track cycling. And the one thing that comes from road cycling is that fitness is all about having a big match book, because you only get, I don't have a match book. Maybe I do. I don't know why I would have one in my office, but I think there's some in the kitchen. Like if you open up a box of matches, right? Let's just say for laughs and giggles that, you get, I don't know, 20 matches in a book. And so let's just say that's your fitness. And so the idea of increasing your match book, the size, and putting more matches in the match book is an effort for you to increase your capacity to do more work, meaning doing more efforts. Every time you do a big effort, let's say you do a lap at the track, you just burned a match. Okay, let's say you did, I don't know, 10 gate starts, you burned 5 matches. Let's say you go to the gym and you're in there for 90 minutes, you burn, I don't know, 10 matches, right? And at the end of the day, your fitness, it really depends. Your fitness is going to depend. Your fitness is going to dictate the quality of work, but more importantly, how much volume of quality work that you could do. For for professionals that race and do a lot of laps where they have to do 3 motos, they have to do a quarter, a semi, 3 main events, or some of you top amateurs that race at the nationals and you race a 3-day weekend where you're racing, I don't know, open, cruiser, class, and you got quarter semis each day and you make the main event each day. That's a lot of racing, man. That's probably like 30 to 40 laps, right? If you're really good and you make it to all the mains. And so back in the day when I was pro, I think we would race probably close to 20 laps a day. And it was a lot. And that was between 2 classes, pro open and pro. And we had, quarters, semis, 3 main events, and a main event and open. That was a lot of racing. And so no, it wasn't 20. It was more like 12. And 12 in a day is a lot, especially at the pro level. I mean, today it's like, you see 3 main events, a semi, and a main. I mean, that's 6 races, but nonetheless, you still need fitness and be able to repeat, your efforts, because everyone can put in a really good effort. Everyone can at least extract one good gate start, one good sprint, one good lap, but can you do it time and time again, and also day after day after day? Can you do it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at a 3-day race? All right, and so, for the rest of us, and also I would say for the rest of us that are not at the pro level or the expert level, and trust me, I know what that's like. At the end of the day, increasing your fitness is going to be able to allow you to go deeper into your skill work when you're at the track. And I would say that's pretty important, especially if you're trying to improve through repetition. And so increasing your fitness is a great idea when it comes to the off season. So, when it comes to BMX training, the off season, my quick deletion of what off season means when you ask me is like, okay, well, this is an opportunity for you to increase your endurance, your power endurance, your submaximal strength, your power, your speed. Okay, this is all off the bike. And then as it pertains to on the bike, it's a great opportunity for you to work on your skills if you have access. If you don't have access to a BMX track, then you can still work on sprint training. Okay, you could still work on bunny hops, manuals, figure 8 turns. If you have a portable gate, then you could do gates at home. If you're some of these guys in the Northeast that are dealing with, rain, sleet, snow, then there's many things that you could do indoors as well. We'll get to that here in a second. But yeah, the off season is a great opportunity for you to improve in many areas. And it's also an opportunity for you to just rest and do nothing. If you're not that serious and you do this for recreational fun, which I'm sure some of you guys that are watching and some of you guys that are in the live chat, you guys are, it's a hobby. You don't take this that serious. At the end of the day, BMX racing is, it's a culture, right? It's a place for you to show up and hang out, and kind of like, guys that are in real estate, for example, they get off work and, they go to the bar and do happy hour. For the rest of us, we might go to the gym or play a pickup game of basketball. For the rest of us, we show up to the BMX track and see our friends and do gate starts and hang out at the snack bar afterwards and, I don't know, get cheese nachos. I did all those things, right? Like, man, what's your favorite snack at the BMX track snack bar? Oh man, But yeah, at the end of the day, the off season is also a great time for you to recreate, to rejuvenate, to reassess, and also figure out what your weaknesses are. So let's talk about weaknesses and how we can work on that. And so, when it comes to the off season, I think you have to write down in these certain areas and grade yourself. What's your gate start like? What's your acceleration like? What's your jumping like? What's your skills like, right? What's your rhythm section skills like? What's your manualing like? What's your track speed like? And more importantly, what is your power endurance to get around the track like, right? So we got anywhere from 5 to 7 areas that you could write down and give yourself a true assessment of how you feel on every area when it comes to BMX racing, right? You're racing. And so you could do you could do a scale of like 1 through 5, where 1 is just like totally unsatisfied and 5 is super satisfied. I don't even need to worry about it. And then, maybe 3 or 4 is like, hey, you know what? I would still like to address this, but maybe there's some other areas where it's a 1 and a 2, So for many of us, you have to figure it out. I know for me, I always had a decent gait. I always had had decent acceleration. My skills always could use some work, and so did my track speed, right? My track speed, my ability to get through jumps. I wasn't always the smoothest guy, and I was always never the fittest guy in terms of like having power endurance from the second turn all the way to the finish line. Excuse me. Please forgive me. I don't have my mask. And so I would say that what you want to do is reassess how you feel about all your skills. And then from there, you're able to look at your list and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to say to myself, Greg, you know what? It looks like you need help in track speed and some fitness. Let's address those weaknesses. But at the same time, that doesn't mean ignore other areas. I was lucky enough to live in California, so we don't really get a big off season like, racing here in the States. The ABA, or otherwise known as USA BMX, their off season's only about 15 days, technically speaking, right? Provided that the track can be open. I know a lot of the tracks in the Northeast, they typically don't open till like March or April, but if you're in California, if you're in New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, tracks are open January 1st if they want to be. They close December 15th and open up January 1st. That's how it's always been. So, technically speaking, we only get about 3 weeks, but some of us, we tend to take more time off, and maybe we look at the schedule and say, you know what, we're not going to start until March. We're not going to start until February. We're going to take 2 months off. And maybe that's a time for you to just work on weaknesses. So this is a great time for you to, again, if you guys have access to the track, then you could do that, right? Let's say you want to work on acceleration. Well, this is a great time for you to start doing sprints if you're not doing sprints already. Yeah, so this is a great time to work on weaknesses in terms of the off season. Do we have any comments in the chat below in terms of that? Yeah, unnamed BMX Racer says until February. His track is closed until February. So, yeah, we're getting awesome questions. Nixon Fry says, hey, Greg, just curious, what's the best training for power and stamina? Great question. Yeah, we'll get to that here in a second. Hopefully, if I don't answer it in my slides here, I'll definitely get that. I'll get to that in the Ask Coach G section. Thank you so much for asking the questions. Let's see here. Yeah, so, the off season is a great time for you to go deep into skill work as well, right? So, again, if you're having a problem with your gate start, or you want to reconfigure your gate start. Oh, I'm coming out with a new book. I'm going to be dropping it around March. Anyways, talking about gate starts, it's a great opportunity for you to go deep into your gate starts, right? and reconfigure things like the first movement, your acceleration position, your second pedal power position, your acceleration out of the gate, working on your reaction time, working on your stance, reassessing your gate start, and integrating some new ideas in an effort for you to be more power and efficient out of the gate. And so the off season, if you have a gate at home, is a great opportunity for you to go deep into that. Also, in terms of like skills like manualing, in terms of, if you guys have access to tracks, a lot of us do have access to tracks. And so this would be a great opportunity for you to work on your skills and go deep into skill work on your manuals, work on the rhythm section, work on your combinations of jumping, manualing, pumping, and try to get fit that way. Try to get your skills up, but more importantly, get your body fit to go through rhythm sections, because you got to be fit to go through rhythm sections, because once you start getting fatigued, that's when the skill kind of fades, right? And when your skill kind of fades, that's when you can get hurt. So that being said, it's also an important time of the year for you to go deep into your fitness, right? In terms of your power endurance. And what a great opportunity for you to work on either two areas of endurance. You could work on just straight up aerobic endurance, okay? And that means, anywhere from an hour to 2 hour road ride. That's not going to hurt you. Maybe you could cross train. Cross training is a great idea during the off season. You could do some mountain biking. You could do, if you have trails, you could do mountain bikes on trails. You're still kind of working on your skills, your bike handling skills, and you're also working on endurance muscle fibers and that metabolic capacity. But I would say at the end of the day, this is a great opportunity for you to work on your anaerobic endurance. So doing things that you don't like to do during the race season, because you're already doing enough, gates at the track, you're doing half lap work, you're doing full lap work, but more importantly, majority of you guys are doing a lot of local racing. You guys are already putting in power endurance type work. So this is a great opportunity for you guys to do like power interval work. There's a video, maybe I'll put a card up below, but if you guys search the channel here at BMX Training, look for the quarantine workout. I would say that's a great workout for you guys to do during the off season. Put your bike up on a trainer if you have a stationary bike at the gym, if you have access to a gym, or if you have a set of rollers, or if you don't, you guys could still do this in a bicycle friendly area outside the house, away from the track. And so you guys could work on your intervals and work on that will help you with your power endurance. All right. Yeah. I would also say the off season is a great time for you to start integrating strength training. If you haven't been strength training, this is a great time to do it. Because the problem is that there's with new lifters, there's certain different phases that you have to go through, and it's really hard on the body to do both integrating gym training and BMX training at the same time. You could do both, but one thing has to give, and volume needs to be correct on the bike, and volume needs to be correct in the gym. In fact, if you guys go to bmxtraining.com, check out the off-season training challenge, both for 12 and unders and also riders that are 13 and over, especially a lot of you 30 to 40 year olds that are joining us. And please forgive me, I know there's some of us that are over the age of 45 here that are also training. JP in the super chat gave $25 Canadian. Thank you so much, man. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to help you, and thank you so much for that. What was I saying? Yes, so integrating strength training. Again, there are certain different phases that new weightlifters need to do, BMXers that are trying to go into the gym. You have to go through a couple different phases before you start maximizing the benefits. Number one would be anatomical adaptation, which means just getting the movements down, all right? Imposing joint flexibility, range of motion, and certainly simply doing the exercises correctly, performing them correctly. It takes a lot of work, takes a lot of practice, takes a lot of focus, takes a lot of patience. And so the off season is a great time for you to do that, in addition to doing other things away from the track on the bike, such as sprint training or skill training. From there, once you're done with anatomical adaptation, then you could start working on, general strength, right? And start adding weight to the bar and start doing volume of work. And the off season is a great time for you to do that. For some of us that are more seasoned, right? I would say like my Olympic riders, it's a great opportunity for them to work on either A, hypertrophy, or just simply increasing their maximal strength. Hypertrophy means just making the muscle fibers bigger, and when they're bigger, they're kind of increasing the matchbook, if you will. You're developing more muscle fibers, and which hopefully you could integrate more maximal strength work to utilize the growth of those muscle fibers. So even then, my top riders will only go through about 2 to 3 weeks of hypertrophy. We don't need a whole lot. But it's a great opportunity for, professionals and top experts that are seasoned weightlifters already and they're seasoned to BMX training, for them to increase their strength, right? You could do that either through, again, hypertrophy work, which is doing lots of reps of, I would say anywhere from 8 to 12 reps. Like if you're doing a squat or any kind of unilateral, like a lunge or a single leg squat or split squat, a Bulgarian split squat, anywhere from 8 to 12 reps is a lot for us, right? And it's a great opportunity for you to, again, do hypertrophy to that muscle. If not, it's a great opportunity for you to do submaximal strength work and increase your matchbook that way. So hypertrophy, I would say, you could do anywhere from 60% to 80% of your 1 rep max. Submaximal work, okay, and so hypertrophy work, again, 60% to 80% of your 1 rep max, and I would say anywhere from 8 to 12 reps. Very, very broad window. And then I would say submaximal work would be anywhere from, I don't know, I would say probably like 4 to 6 reps is a good range. And then, of course, your intensity range would be anywhere from 75 to 85% of your 1 rep max. And that's a good area to be if you're looking to increase your match book. And that way, when you go into the off season and you start integrating maximal strength work is, or really I should say, maximal strength work in my mind is it's more sub-maximal. We're not always working at 100%, but I would say it's 85% and above. If you're looking to increase your strength, your absolute strength, you have to be working at 85% and above. And of course, maybe even hitting closer to 95 to, higher percentages in the 90s and doing low volume. I'm talking real low volume, anywhere from 1 to 2 reps. But the off season, a great opportunity to step away from that, because it is a lot of stress at working at maximal loads all the time. And so hypertrophy is a great way to, again, rebuild the base, increase the muscle fibers, continuously stressing the joints, but not so much at the maximal area, continuously stressing the muscles as well, but not so much at the maximal area. So, there's all kinds of things that you could do when it comes to strength training. But I would say, hypertrophy and submaximal strength is a great opportunity for you guys that are in the middle. I just talked about, the Olympic side, the pro side, the seasonal side, and then of course the guys that are trying to, begin strength training and integrate that into their BMX racing. For you guys, for the rest of us that are in the middle, listen, this is a great time for you to start working on some lifts and, correcting some lifts and getting better on some lifts. I have athletes that are they're really good at the squat, but they're not so good at unilateral work. And it's a great time for you to address that and work on secondary muscles, such as the lower back and also your hamstrings. Let's check out the time, 6 o'clock. Okay, so we're doing pretty good. But yeah, this is a great time for you to get the ball rolling and get under the bar and start lifting some iron and start putting in the work. And then here's a secret when it comes to weightlifting, guys. One of the things that I'm finding is that people weightlift in the off season and then they think that, hey, I'm good for the rest of the season. No, that is the biggest mistake, is to take a break from weight training. Explain here in a minute. you definitely want to continuously strength train throughout the season. You want to maintain that strength. You want to continuously program that strength, because at the end of the day, power is mass times acceleration. Okay? Force times velocity. Mass times velocity, force times speed. Whatever you want to look at it. And so you have to continuously maintain both force and speed in an effort to continuously progress with our power. BMX is a sprint power sport. We're power athletes. We must train like power athletes, and power athletes in other sports, whether it's football, ice hockey, track and field, all these guys, if you guys follow other sports in a deep way, you'll know that these guys train throughout the week of games. In fact, even at the Olympics, my athletes, we train the week of the Olympics at the Olympic Village. And so, yes, it's important for us as BMX athletes of all types to continuously strength train. You're gonna benefit more when it comes to strength training. You're gonna have more muscle coordination. You're gonna be able, and when you have more muscle coordination, you're going to be more efficient when you perform your gate start, when you perform your acceleration. You're going to be able to increase your match book, and also you're going to be able to increase your power, not only from the gate to the first jump to the first turn, but more importantly, you're going to be more efficient from the first turn all the way to finish line, because you're more efficient. You're not using as much energy. You're not wasting all this energy. So weight training, I'm telling you, is so awesome. In fact, when it comes to my weight training right now with my recreational cycling, when I say recreational, I'm still riding and very competitive with the local sport group. When I say sport group, I'm riding with pros, former pros, master type racers. I've ridden with Mark Cavendish. I've ridden with Peter Kenna, who was a teammate of Peter Sagan. And so the point is that in an effort for me to be competitive and be able to have a full-time job working on this gig and my other gig, I've noticed by weight training once a week that I'm more efficient. My power endurance is through the roof. I'm able to climb better. I'm able to sprint better. And because I'm weightlifting every week, my power endurance is better by default. And so same thing applies with BMX training. Listen, it is so important for you guys to be strength training week after week and find a day where you can integrate it. A lot of my athletes, we integrate weightlifting with either sprint training and sometimes let's see. And sometimes when we do gates at like home. If I have athletes that are able to practice gates, we'll do gates and then maybe we'll go into the gym. Okay. All right, where are we at here? So we covered going deep into skill work. All right. Let's summarize this. When it comes to off-season BMX training, we talked about going deep into skill work, using this time to work on your weaknesses. Again, reassessing where you're at with your skills from the gate all the way to finish line. That means gate, acceleration, jumping, manualing, rhythm section work, track skills, track speed, track endurance, okay? And going deep into that. And then we talked about weaknesses, right? Like, are we weak physically? Are we weak in our skills? And then we also talked about integrating strength training. And and we talked about if you're new to strength training, it's a great time to start integrating that and getting used to strength training and also riding your bike at the same time, because it's kind of hard to do during the season, right? Once you're doing it, it's just you're adding more stress and you're going to be more fatigued and you're going to be like, I don't know about this. I don't know about weightlifting in the middle of the race season. I don't see the benefit. I'm always tired. Well, yeah, that's because you haven't imposed a demand. And so during the off season, it's a great time for you to impose that demand and adapt to it. Let's see here. I say I take a look at the questions, and I'll be back right after the break. Hey guys, I have a question. What would it do for you if you could enhance your power out of the gate, enhance your sprint speed down the first straight, enhance your skills, enhance your mental performance mind state? What would that do for your racing or your kids' racing? If you're seeing the value of enhancing your BMX performance, consider joining the community of BMX Training Pro and get the same access my Olympic athletes have enjoyed, as well as thousands of BMXers all over the world. Some members use the access to improve their gate start techniques. Some also use the access to keep them motivated to train, and you'll find your reason when you gain access and join BMX Training Pro today.
Stay focused, get ready now. For real, get ready now.
Nitro with the nice flow.
Stay focused, get ready now. For real, get ready now. Let's go. Stay focused, here the heat come. Concentrate to the sound of the beat drum. Yeah. Start it up, take it back now. Check it out. This is how it's going down. Yeah.
All right, guys, welcome back. That was a quick break. Hope you guys are still hanging in there. Man, I've almost drank this whole thing of water. I've been doing a lot of talking here. So, looking at some of the questions, let's see here. Violet Talley asked, my parents barely took me to the track for the last 4 months. What can I do to train without a racetrack or pump track? Again, Violet, I would say number one, you need to reassess where you're at in terms of your skills, right? We talked about it from the gate all the way to finish line. And of course you could work on some things away from the track. If it's skills, perhaps you could do bunny hopping, manualing, figure eight turns. You could practice your sprint training, which pretty much mimics acceleration out of the gate. There's all kinds of things that you could do, Violet. Of course, if you can, you could probably start integrating strength training. Why not? Bad River Tactical says my off-season racing, off-season of BMX racing in Wisconsin means no good options for racing. Our only indoor track closed this winter, so I need to do what I can other ways. Yeah, like I said, get on the bike and ride, do sprints, work on your power endurance. There's many ways for you guys to get creative. One thing I didn't touch on, let's see if anyone talked about it. One thing I didn't touch on when it came to off-season BMX training is reassessing how your season went, more importantly, and how did you perform? How did you perform in terms of your results? And more importantly, are you able to did you accomplish your goals? Did you even create goals? This would be a good time for you guys to come up with some goals. I'm going to talk about it next week, but the new year's about to turn, and so we're going a lot of the world is going to be doing recreating goals, and they're going to talk about it in the way of New Year's resolutions, and those don't really work out because, well, there's all kinds of different becauses, but at the end of the day, they don't have a strong purpose. So when it comes to BMX racing and creating goals, what are some of the goals that you guys want to create in your racing? And more importantly, for what purpose and defining that purpose? We'll talk about that more next week. But the off season is a great time for you to just sit down and reflect, watch some races on YouTube, watch some of the races that you may have recorded, and figure out what is it that you want to accomplish next year, right? And by looking at some old videos, perhaps that can make you hungry and ignite or spark a fire to motivate you to write down some goals. Let's see here. What do you think about riding rollers? I know it's a big, I know I'm going to, sometimes I have to interpret your guys' words because sometimes you guys don't make complete sentences. Please forgive me. I know I don't do that either when it comes to comments on YouTube. I tend to get lazy. What do you think about riding rollers? I know it's big with road bikes. Okay, so Yeah, I think right now with road bikes, there's a big phenomenon going on with Zwift. It's spelled Z as in Z, WIFT, and yeah, it's getting really popular because you could pretty much do virtual racing with just about everybody and anybody around the world. Um, now, as far as now as far as rollers on a BMX bike or a trainer, I think it's good. I think it's good if it's a great alternative if you don't have if you're not able to ride outside, right? It's a great um, it's a great tool to increase your maximal speed to do intervals, and that's about it, right? Obviously, you can't do many skills on a roller or a trainer, so it's good if the weather is not cooperating outside, or you don't have enough time to get to a track and you want to get a workout in, but you also don't want to leave the house. Rollers are good for that. And so the problem with rollers is that it doesn't offer a whole lot of resistance when it comes to BMX. Now, I shouldn't say that necessarily, because if you don't set up your rollers, if you set up your rollers improperly to where the drums are either too or they're too far apart, then there's too much resistance. So at the end of the day, rollers you don't want to set up for a whole lot of resistance anyways. It's a great opportunity to increase your maximal cadence. So I like rollers. I think it's also challenging to ride rollers. If you're on a trainer, then it's not that, from a skill standpoint, it's not that hard. But rollers are really hard because, number one, you have to keep the bike in between the rubber band and also the edges in an effort for you to stay safe. But it's really challenging in an effort to work on your sprint position, because our sprint position is generally forward, and the problem with rollers is that you kind of settle back in an effort for your bike to stay in between the drums evenly. So yeah, all right, let's keep moving on. Let's see. Chris Childs talks about, what does your winter circle program consist of, and is it something that you have to live in California to be part of? Chris, great question. The Winter Circle program is a mentorship program. It's goal driven. There's a lot of mental deep work that I do with my athletes. It also consists of giving them personalized and custom strength training based around their race schedule and also their local track schedule. We also, they get strength training, sprint training. I look at their skills. We go over skill work. We go over races. We do everything remotely, and we do everything through Zoom. You'll also get a online training program that you get. There's a portal that you log in. You're able to see what your schedule looks like, which I plan for you. And so, if you want more information on that, just email me, info@bmxtraining.com. Thank you so much for inquiring regarding the Winter Circle program. Let's see here. Okay, Liam Forlong, recently it has been constantly raining and storming. How can I train when I can't get outside to go to the track or to do any sprints? I have been using my rollers, but I don't feel that it's enough. Liam, then I would say, you know what, if rollers aren't enough, then I would say integrate strength training. I would say either join a gym. If you can't join a gym, then I would invest in some weights. Okay, you really don't need a whole lot. You can get a barbell, and as far as weights, I would get at least enough weight to replicate your body weight. And you could do a lot of things starting there. You could also get some dumbbells. I know me personally, I think I got pretty much have everything from 10s to 20s, 30s, 35s, 40s, all the way to 50. And that's good enough. And I do a lot of different things because you don't have to do everything bilateral. You could do unilateral work if you don't have enough weight, and you get a lot out of that. Also, Liam, I would say that you could probably start integrating core work if you're not doing that already. And go check it out. There's a free trial over at bmxtraining.com. You could check out the off-season training program in there. Perhaps if you can't do everything there's some things that you could take a sneak peek look at. You don't have to sign up. There's a free trial. Take a look at it. There's some core workouts in there. Copy, paste, screenshot. I don't care. Do whatever you need to do. That will give you a good idea of what you can do. And if you want to remain a member and support me and support this channel, that would be great. I would be grateful for you if you join. Let me know how that goes. Let's see here. Moreno Valley News. My purpose, he says, for racing to finally win a national. And thank Greg. Yeah, man. Alana Kushinsky. I have a national race in about a month. Best advice. Oh, cool. Great question. In a month. So, then I would say you're probably not in an off season, right? If you're racing in a month, then you want to be training specifically as it pertains to power, right? So I would, if you don't have track access, Alana, I know like on the 15th, what's today? Oh, the 15th is tomorrow. So time's going by pretty quick. You probably won't have track like let's say I'm a guy that wants to race in Phoenix come January 9th. I don't have my calendar open, but it's like January 9th. It's like, the second weekend in the new year. And so I don't have track access till the January 1st. What am I going to do? I'm going to work on sprint training. I'm going to work on weight training. I'm going to be doing manuals in the street. I'm going to be doing figure eight turns in a bicycle friendly area. Sorry, not sprints in the street. Don't do that in the street. Don't do it in the street. Do it in a bicycle friendly area. I would be working on my power. At the end of the day, that's the best thing you can do. And that way, when you do get on the track, you're not going to feel out of shape. Because here's the thing. A lot of people don't realize riding BMX obstacles, man, and ma'am, sorry, Alana, it does take strength work, right? It's very, very dynamic in nature in terms of muscle contraction. When we're not pedaling and we're navigating jumps, we're always contracting our muscles, right? And so weight training will enable you to reduce the shock when you do get back on the bike, when you do get back to the track. And so weightlifting will help with your jumping, your pumping, and your skill navigation going through the rhythm section. It'll also obviously help you with your acceleration out of the gate and your efficiency and power out of the gate, as well as your sprint power speed all the way to the first jump. So that's what I would do. I would definitely think about doing sprints, doing power intervals. That way you're not gassed, right? Because you're going to be doing full laps. So you need to be working that energy system. Those two energy systems, acceleration and power endurance. So sprint work and intervals. Hopefully that helps. And good luck into the next season. Craig Martin loves Zwift racing. Been doing it a lot this year. Most of our BMX season was canceled. A guy I raced with in Australia is starting BMX this spring. Awesome. Yeah, I was just checking out the Zwift eSport World Championships sanctioned by the UCI. And that looked pretty crazy, man. Looked pretty fun. Let's see here. Any other questions as it pertains to the off season? Here we go. Roscoe H. Here we go. He says, you just said we should strength train throughout the year. Is there a different balance of volume and intensity we should be shooting for during the regular season with races and track practice? Great question, man. Whew. Let me get a drink of water because I'm going to be talking. All right, I'm out of water. Yes, absolutely. I would say at the end of the day, there's all kinds of ways to do it, right? General periodization is a funky one. If you're new to strength training, then I would say general periodization. There's a guy by the name of Tudor Bompa. I got the book right here. This book is funny. Old school, but I would say very, very good. Look, I got even bookmarks. I love the cover because it's just some dude doing ab work, and it's like, okay, he's doing a crunch. Periodization for training for sports. Tudor Bompa, really good book. Old school. I don't really use a whole lot of periodization for a lot of my top athletes. We do non-linear work, and we do, I don't want to get too technical, but periodization, generally speaking, is a way for you to isolate basically metabolic capacities, right? But more importantly, they speak about, which I spoke about earlier, they speak about, if you're new to strength training, then, you should go through an anatomical adaptation phase where the body is just getting used to doing movement, right? And then you start working into general preparation where you start adding weight. And then you start entering like things like hypertrophy, which we talked about, which is doing a lot of reps with low intensity and then kind of step loading the volume. And then once we start getting into like submaximal strength, yes, you're going to be increasing the intensity, but the volume should decrease, right? As intensity goes up, volume naturally should decrease, right? So for example, if you're doing sprints and let's just say you're going, I don't know, 100 meters, it's going to be really, really hard for any of us to do 10 of them the same way that we could do 10 3-meter sprints, right? And so as intensity goes up or volume goes up, then, when intensity goes up, then volume should come down. When volume goes up, then we should also consider, when duration, meaning like how long the sprint is or how many reps that you do, then you should also reduce volume of how many you actually do, right? So yeah, for sure. Intensity and volume are always trying to find a balance, if you will, right? Trying to harmonize that. I would say at the end of the day, let's see here, balance of volume and intensity we should be shooting for. Here's the thing. During the race season, especially the 2 weeks leading up to a race, you want to be leaving the gym on a high note, okay? And I would say that, here's the thing. When it comes to your general model of the world, when it comes to strength training, when they go to the gym, I went to the gym. Everyone thinks when they go to the gym, they have to leave it all there and leave the place to where you could barely walk and you're crawling out. And it's like, oh man, like you looked at some motivation quote on social media. It's like some dude that just looks like his knuckles are dragging leaving the gym and he's pouring sweat and dehydrated. Listen, man, BMX racers do not need to necessarily leave the gym with their knuckles dragging, where they have no energy, where they're fully depleted. You guys need energy. You guys got to be able to recover, because the most important thing you need to do is get on the track and perform skills and race and work on your sprint training. So the last 2 weeks leading up to any race, or if you're just a recreational racer, going to the gym once a week and keeping the volume low and keeping the intensity high and maybe keeping the weight low and just focusing on exploding for power, listen, that will go a long ways. That's what I'm doing now as a recreational rider that's riding and doing pseudo racing with group riders here in San Diego. I'm spending no more than 75 minutes in the gym. And I'm not lifting anything ridiculously heavy. And I'm not doing anything ridiculous in terms of reps. I'm not breaking myself down. I'm focusing on programming. I'm focusing on leaving on a high note. And at the end of the day, again, the general interpretation of going to the gym is doing a ton of work, right? Spending an hour underneath a squat rack, and after that, doing a bunch of different other accessory exercises, and that's not necessary. At the end of the day, you want to get in, get out. Okay? Now, if it's the off season, then yeah, you're doing a lot of breakdown where you are going to be a little bit more fatigued than normal, because you are doing more reps. All right? You are doing more sets. The intensity is low, and so you are doing a little bit more volume when it comes to repetition. I hope that makes sense. I can keep going and going, but I hope that makes sense. I would say at the end of the day, yeah, if you're going to go through a phase where you want to increase your strength and you want to do that for, 2 months, then you want to start off fairly low and just week after week, generally speaking, increase the intensity over time, both volume and intensity, but keep the reps low as the volume and intensity increase. That's why you guys need a strength coach or someone like me. But hopefully, that answers your question, Roscoe, because I think that's a great, great question. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Here you go. BMXer123. He's asking me a personal question. This is funny. I have a question. Did you get NAG 1 and 16 boys? Okay, maybe he's talking to somebody else. Maybe he is. Okay, maybe. Did I get NAG 1 and 16 boys around early 2000s? No, early 2000s I was a pro. But I did get NAG 1 in, I think at the time it was a 17 to 20 expert. I got NAG 1. Okay, what other questions do we have as it pertains to off-season training? Let's see here. Patrick Logan. Yeah, thank you, Patrick. I appreciate the comment there. Alana Kushinsky says, also, yes, I'm racing in Arizona in a month at the Nationals. How can I practice gates without track, box sprints? Yeah, pretty much. I would do box sprints. That's one way to do it. What style dirt jumps do you recommend most for at-home training? Great question. You know, at the end of the day, I like trail jumps. It just depends on where you're at. If you're, I used to tell some of my older riders that are, 45 and over that are racing cruiser and, they're pumping a lot and they're like, man, if I can just manual this section because this other rider who used to be a former pro is getting through that section faster than me and he's manualing through it and he's jumping. I used to tell these riders like, look, man, do you have land in your backyard? Yes. Okay. Do you have dirt back there? Yes. Do you have a shovel? Yes. Okay. Well then create 2 rollers and practice manualing through them. So I would say at the end of the day, 7 Pass You asked a question, what style of dirt jumps do you recommend for most at-home racing? So again, if you're an older guy or you're newer to the sport, then just build a couple rollers and practice manualing through those. Build some small jumps that you could easily jump through and build your confidence and work on your skills. If you're a more of an advanced racer, then yeah, and you have the skills to hit trail type jumps. They call them trails, but basically it's almost like super deliberate lips and landings where you have to pretty much rainbow. It's hard to racer across, lips that are like this, but I like trail jumps because number 1, it's fun. Number 2, you're still getting a kind of like a plyometric workout, because you are taking off, you are practicing a quick jump where you're compressing and then you're reacting and then you're landing and you're working on your flow, right? And so I like both, but yeah, I loved and enjoyed doing a lot of trail riding. I was about to say racing, but I enjoyed doing a lot of trail riding because it made riding my bike fun, right? And I was able to get in a session with other guys, other pros, and I was able to work on some skills, and it's time on the bike. So, yeah, thank you. Craig Martin says, Coach, my weight routine is 1 set to failure, 2 exercises per muscle group. What do you think to add? 1 group. Okay, so 1 set to failure for what purpose? For what purpose are you going for failure? Answer me that, Craig. Anthony Grasher, my man, how you doing? Yes, this is true, he says. The gym helps, but I was powerlifting before racing, and I do not get any better until I spend more time on the bike and less, but more focused time in the gym. Yeah, for someone that has a powerlifting background like Anthony, man, kudos to you because weightlifting is going to come easy to you. And yes, at the end of the day, you need a balance, right? So I would say, Anthony, someone like you, weightlifting once a week and just focusing on like rate of force of development, RFD, maybe, 40 to 60% of your 1 RM, keep the reps low, 1 to 3, and just focus on exploding. Boom, that's all you need to do. And then that way you're leaving the gym fresh and making sure that you're able to recover easily and effortlessly from that workout so you could spend more time on the bike. And of course, when you're not fatigued riding the bike, then it's a lot easier to navigate the bike, because it is hard. It is hard to navigate the bike when your muscles are tight and sore and hurting. It sucks. No, BMXer123 says, yes, you, Greg. Yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe you misread the banner at the track. I don't know. Okay, let's see here. Kiana Cox. Hopefully I pronounce your name correctly, Kiana. Hey, I'm new to racing. What's the best way for me to learn to clear a jump and a bunny hop? Kiana, thank you so much for showing up. We are totally grateful for you being new to racing. In fact, that's what this channel is here for. It's to help out newer racers, younger racers, and also, people like you, so you guys could thrive, experience your potential, and sustain it. That's the whole point of this channel at BMX Training. So grateful for you to show up. Welcome to the sport. And also, thank you so much for having the courage to ask the question of, what's the best way for you to learn to clear a jump and also bunny hop. Okay, so, I would say, you kind of answered your question there. You talked about bunny hopping. I would say practice your bunny hops. Practice jumping off curbs, getting the bike as high as you can. Well, you don't have to go that high, but, practice bunny hopping, leveling off. And then, if you're in a bicycle friendly area, like a neighborhood, then, bunny hops are weird to kind of land nose first, but you want to land at least even front and rear tires, if not back wheel, front wheel. However, it's different when you go to the track and you're, say, jumping like a tabletop or doubles or a tabletop. You don't want necessarily land on the back wheel because you're going to develop a bad habit. And if you do it wrong, or if you do it right, you're going to loop out and fall on your back or your ass. And so bunny hops will mimic jumping. And then also, as far as clearing a jump, I would say you want to start with this. Find a tabletop. That's going to be your best bet. Okay, find a tabletop and do your bunny hop on that and land both wheels at the same time when you land and see how far and how high you can go. Once you get confident in configuring like your approach speed, what your knees and elbows look like, if they're nice preloaded and bent going up the lip of the jump, and you're comfortable taking off the jump, and then you're also comfortable looking where you're going, then you can go ahead and start working on things like doubles or working on clearing the tabletop, right? Jumping, it's really weird, right? Like if you think about it, it doesn't make any sense. I was watching a video the other day, of a point of view video of a guy's GoPro, and he was riding a motorcycle, and he's actually a road cyclist, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm going out to the motocross track, and I'm going to do some laps." And this dude was clearing tabletops and doubles, and I was like, "Whoa, man! Man, props to you, because that's really hard." I remember there was a time when I had a motorcycle. And bear with me here because this makes sense for BMX racing, but I had a motorcycle and I just had a hard time comprehending how much speed I needed to have, what kind of lift off I needed to have going off the jump. And at the same time, it's like, where the hell am I even going? Because I can't see the landing. And BMX racing is kind of like that because sometimes you just don't know where the landing is. And so fortunately, you will know with like a tabletop. You will see the landing when you do take off in the air, but for the most part, you're not really focused on the landing. You're trying to get through the takeoff, and so it's one of those things where you just have to learn to configure the kinesthetic feeling of taking off on a jump. So a tabletop is a great place to start. Once you get configured on what the approach feels, how much speed you need, what the takeoff is like. And I would video yourself. I would get someone to video you jumping a tabletop, and that way you get a visual feedback of what you're feeling and also what you see, and that way you kind of get that visual in your head of how you feel on the bike. If that makes any sense, you want to be able to, because when you're jumping, you don't really see yourself. It's just all a feeling, right? It's like, oh my gosh, when you're going over the handlebars or you're coming up short. But you want to be able to see that. That way you understand the trajectory of the front and rear wheel going over jumps. And that's important because if you're going to jump a pair of doubles, you want to make sure that you have a nice rainbow effect, a rainbow trajectory, if you will, right? You always want to be looking ahead. As soon as you take off, you want to be looking where you're going to land. Okay, that's number one rule. Look where you're going to land. Hopefully that's enough for you to digest, and that will help you. But yeah, awesome question. I love beginners. I used to do, when I was doing some volunteer work over at the local track at Chula Vista for Tyler Brown, when he was like absent and he was traveling for a race, I would go there and I would coach the beginners, and I had so much fun because you guys are so raw and you guys are so new and you guys are so curious, and it challenged me as a coach in an effort for me to break down the fundamentals. All right, so we're hitting 6:35. Everyone, give props to Kiana Cox. Welcome her to the sport. Just give her some encouragement. Welcome to the sport. Keep going. Keep trying. Because we all know what it's like to be a beginner in the sport. Man, I remember my first beginner race. Man, I crashed in the first turn and got a flat tire. It was really weird. Any more questions? Let's see. I'm going to take one more question because I typically do this for an hour, but we will take one more. I'm going to finish up with Craig Martin. He says, Coach, set to failure to build strength. Okay. Distance running, road bike, soccer background. I do a little bit of plyo for every other week. Okay, Craig. Okay, so failure to build strength. Okay, so if it's specific for BMX racing, Craig, look, I commend you if you're just doing it for a hobby. Like you said, you talked about you do distance running, you do road bike, you do soccer. Okay, that's your background. And real quick, thank you guys, Jacob James, 7 past you. Thank you so much for welcoming Kiana to the sport. Awesome, guys. Okay, so it's Kiana's son. It's Kiana's son, Kai, who's 10. So welcome, Kai, to the sport. Omar De Jesus says, yes, just jumped to my first small tabletop. Just go for it. Heck yeah. Awesome. Back to Craig. So Craig talked about, he asked a question, Coach, my weight routine is 1 set to failure, 2 exercises per muscle group. What do you think to add? I don't know what else to add. If anything, Craig, I want to delete. I want to take away. I want to subtract. And so set the failure. I don't know. I don't know if you necessarily do need to do sets to failure. And the reason being, especially in the sport of BMX, it's a power sport. And so with training, when it comes to sprint training, when it comes to weightlifting, sets to failure is great during the off season, and also during, in an effort for you to increase muscle fiber size through hypertrophy. But we want to be, if you're just a recreational guy, I would say, choose an intensity of 40-60% and focus on speed of discharge, right? Rate of force development, and working on exploding fast. Keep the reps low, 3 to 5. You don't need to fail, okay? Failing on a set is, I think it's great if you're like Rocky, right? And you're just like, man, I just want to work to failure and just get everything I have. Man, training specific for sport is not necessarily that. We tend to generalize, thinking that when we go to the gym, we have to fail at everything, right? Like, and fail is not a bad thing, but like you don't need to do, like CrossFit is AMRAP, as many reps as possible. Look, I would say lower the weight, focus on straight power. That's us. That's what sprinters do. The problem is that if you guys focus on failing, then and you're moving it slow, you're programming your muscles to contract slow. That's it. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be your coach. Thank you so much for showing up. I know there's so many more awesome questions in here. Um, you know, let's see here. What different types of Trenton Moore? What different types of off bike? What type? What different? I can't even speak. I'm getting tired. What different types of off the bike exercises could I do to improve power on the first straight? Anything explosive, right? Whether it's a squat or a unilateral exercise like a Bulgarian split squat, that's my favorite. And 40 to 60% of your 1 rep max, and keep the reps low and focus on speed of discharge, focus on execution, focus on executing it and moving the weight as fast as possible. It's a great way. That's a good start, right? Of course, that's not the end all be all, because you can work on force, you can work on speed, but I would say that general sweet spot, if you're already lifting, again, is 40 60%. Lift it as fast as possible. Why not? That's BMX. Aaron Greenwright, hey coach, happy holidays from SeaTac. Hey, happy holidays here from San Diego. Thank you guys so much. BMXer 123. Oh my God, is that Trenton Moore who won ROC 1720? Right on. Maybe it is. Oh man, I love you guys, man. Thank you so much for being a part of the community and chatting in here. It's awesome. Kiana Cox says thanks for the help. Craig Martin says thanks, coach. Aaron Greenwright says Trent is a boss. Right on, Trent. Thanks for showing up and asking the question. I thought it was a great question. Hopefully that helps. Jacob James, could you explain a little bit about the 4-week gate start training? Yeah, just hit me up, Jacob. You've been messaging me on Instagram. Hit me up there. Brady F119, thank you. Rusty, thanks, coach. Vizzy, thanks for inspiring. All right, guys, thank you guys so much. I could sit here and chat with you guys all day, but I got to eat dinner. BMXer 123, thank you for the stream. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you guys. Happy holidays. I'll see you guys next week. We're going to talk about goal setting. I think it's important. It's certainly an area that my Olympians have certainly thrived from. I personally thrive from them, and also you guys may thrive from goal setting. We're going to go deep into that next week. You guys have a great, awesome, safe week. Make sure you wash your hands, wear your mask where you need to, and I'll see you guys here on the channel here at YouTube BMX Training. Thank you guys. I'm grateful for the opportunity. See you guys soon.